Zara Williams made herself two promises when she started working for CEO Kang Jihoon. Keep it professional, and never, ever, let her heart get involved. But 3 weeks in, those promises are starting to feel impossible. Every late night working alone together, every stolen glance across the conference room, every moment his cold exterior cracks just enough to show her the man underneath, is making it harder to remember why she built those walls in the first place. And then, there's the kiss that wasn't supposed to happen. The accidental collision that sparked something neither of them can ignore. Now Zara's caught between her carefully controlled professional life and feelings she absolutely cannot afford to have. But just when she thinks she might have a handle on the dangerous attraction simmering between her and Jihoon, her ex-boyfriend Jiwoo doesn't just text, he shows up in person. And he's not alone. He's the new business partner on their biggest project, which means Zara will be forced to work with the man who broke her heart, while hiding her growing feelings for the man who could break it even worse. This is about to get messy. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, go back and catch up because things are about to explode. And if you're already hooked, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me who you're rooting for. Team Jihoon or Team Jiwoo? Let's get into it. The document folder slipped from Zara's hands and papers scattered across Jihoon's office floor in a cascade of white. She dropped to her knees immediately, cheeks burning with embarrassment. Of all the times to be clumsy, it had to be during their morning briefing when she was already on edge from another sleepless night, thinking about text messages from ex-boyfriends and the way her boss's voice dropped an octave when he said her name. "I'm so sorry, sir. Let me get these." She reached for the nearest page at the same moment Jihoon crouched down to help. Their hands collided. Their faces were suddenly inches apart. And time seemed to suspend itself. Zara could see the faint scar above his left eyebrow she'd never noticed before. Could count the subtle shades of brown in his dark eyes. Could feel the heat radiating from his body. Smell the cedar and bergamot of his cologne. Her breath caught in her throat. "Miss Williams." His voice was barely above a whisper, rough in a way she'd never heard it. "I'm sorry, I'll just—" She started to pull back, but his hand caught her wrist, gentle but firm. For 3 heartbeats they stayed frozen like that, kneeling on his office floor, surrounded by scattered papers, too close, far too close. His eyes dropped to her lips. Her pulse hammered so loud she was certain he could hear it. Then his phone rang, shrill and intrusive, shattering the moment. They both moved at once, scrambling to collect papers, careful now not to touch, not to look at each other. Zara's hands were shaking as she straightened the documents. What had just happened? What had almost happened? Jihoon answered his phone, speaking in clipped Korean, his back to her as he moved to the window. Zara used the moment to steady herself, to rebuild the professional mask that had slipped so dangerously. When he ended the call and turned back, his expression was carefully neutral. "That was Director Choi. We have an emergency board meeting in 20 minutes. I'll need the Q3 projections and the Nigeria proposal timeline." "Of course, sir. I'll have everything ready." She fled his office, documents clutched to her chest, her heart still racing. In the safety of her desk, she pressed her palms flat against the cool surface and tried to breathe. That had been close. Too close. If his phone hadn't rung, if they'd stayed like that 1 second longer, she might have done something catastrophically stupid. Like kiss her boss. Like throw away every carefully maintained boundary for one moment of knowing what his lips felt like against hers. The thought terrified her almost as much as it thrilled her. The board meeting ran long. By the time Jihoon emerged, it was past noon, and Zara was fielding calls from 3 different departments, all demanding the CEO's immediate attention. She managed them all with practiced efficiency, but her mind kept drifting back to that moment on the floor. The way he'd looked at her. The way time had seemed to stop. "Miss Williams." His voice made her jump. I need you to schedule a lunch meeting for Wednesday. The new strategic partner for the Nigeria expansion project. Of course. Who's the partner? Han Enterprises. CEO Jiwoo will be leading their side of the collaboration. The name hit her like a physical blow. Zara's face must have shown her shock because Jihoon's expression sharpened immediately. Miss Williams? Is there a problem? No. No problem, sir. Her voice sounded distant to her own ears. I'll arrange the meeting. But there was a problem. A massive, complicated, emotionally devastating problem. Because Han Jiwoo wasn't just the ex-boyfriend who'd been texting her. He was about to become their business partner, which meant she'd be forced to see him, work with him, pretend that he hadn't shattered her heart into pieces 2 years ago. Zara. Jihoon's use of her first name pulled her attention back to him. He never called her Zara. Always Miss Williams. Always professional distance. What's wrong? Han Jiwoo is my ex-boyfriend. The words came out flat, emotionless. The one who contacted me Friday. Something dark flashed across Jihoon's face. His jaw tightened. I see. I can request a transfer to a different project, if working with him would be uncomfortable. No. The word was sharp, almost harsh. You're the operational lead on this expansion. The Nigeria project needs you. I need you on this. He paused, seeming to choose his next words carefully. Unless you want to transfer. If working with him is too difficult, I'll understand. Did she want to transfer? The rational part of her brain screamed yes. Get as far from this emotional minefield as possible. But the stubborn part, the part that had rebuilt herself after Jiwoo broke her, refused to run. I'll stay on the project, sir. My personal history with Mr. Han won't affect my professional performance. I know it won't. His eyes held hers with an intensity that made her skin warm. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for. The compliment settled in her chest, dangerous and sweet. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed with another urgent call and the moment passed. But that night, alone in her apartment, Zara allowed herself to admit the truth she'd been avoiding. She was developing feelings for Kang Jihoon. Real, complicated, utterly inappropriate feelings. The kind that made her pulse race when he entered a room. The kind that had her replaying every conversation, analyzing every glance, wondering if the awareness she felt was one-sided or if he felt it too. And now Jiwoo was coming back into her life, forcing her to face the past she'd tried so hard to bury. The man who'd promised her everything and delivered nothing. The man who'd taught her that love wasn't enough when duty and family expectations came calling. She was caught between them. Between the shadow of her past and the dangerous fire of her present. Between what she'd lost and what she couldn't let herself want. Wednesday arrived too quickly. Zara dressed carefully that morning, a navy sheath dress that was professional and polished. Armor, really. She needed all the armor she could get for facing Jiwoo again. The lunch meeting was at an upscale Korean restaurant near the office. Zara arrived early with Jihoon, helping him set up the presentation materials. Her hands were steady, her voice calm. No one looking at her would guess that her stomach was in knots. Are you ready for this? Jihoon asked quietly while they waited. I have to be. No, you don't. Say the word and I'll have Director Park handle this meeting. She looked at him, surprised by the protective edge in his voice. I can do this. I know you can. That's not what I asked. Before she could answer, the restaurant host appeared with their guest. And there he was, Han Jiwoo. Still handsome with that easy smile that had first attracted her. Still polished and charming, but somehow smaller than she remembered. Less significant. CEO Kang, thank you for meeting with me. Jiwoo bowed respectfully, then his eyes found Zara. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, regret, longing. Zara, I didn't know you worked for Yeonhwa. Mr. Han. She kept her voice professional, cool. I'm the operational lead for the Nigeria expansion project. That's wonderful. You always were brilliant. His smile was warm, genuine, like they were old friends catching up instead of ex-lovers meeting across a professional divide. Jihoon's voice cut through the moment like ice. Shall we sit? We have limited time for this meeting. The lunch was professional torture. Jiwoo presented Han Enterprises' distribution network, their hotel connections across West Africa, the synergies with Yeonhwa's luxury lifestyle brand. He was impressive, Zara had to admit, confident and knowledgeable. He'd clearly built something substantial outside his family's shadow. But every time his eyes found hers across the table, she felt Jihoon tense beside her. Subtle, barely noticeable, but she'd learned to read him these past weeks. The slight tightening of his jaw, the way his fingers drummed once against the table before he caught himself. He was bothered by Jiwoo's attention to her. And that bothered attention was obvious. Jiwoo directed half his comments to Zara specifically, praised her insights, remembered details about her previous work that he shouldn't have known unless he'd researched her career. It was flattering and uncomfortable in equal measure. I think we have a strong foundation for partnership, Jiwoo said as the meal wound down. Perhaps we could schedule a follow-up meeting? I'd love to dive deeper into the operational details with your team, Zara. Miss Williams's schedule is quite full, Jihoon said before Zara could respond. Any follow-up meetings will go through my office. Jiwoo's smile didn't waver, but something sharp entered his eyes. Of course, CEO Kang. I apologize if I overstepped. No apology necessary. We simply maintain clear protocols regarding project coordination. The tension between the two men was thick enough to cut. Zara felt like she was watching two predators circle each other, all polite words masking something far more primal underneath. Back at the office, Jihoon was silent in the elevator. When they reached the executive floor, he went straight into his office without a word. Zara returned to her desk, her emotions a tangled mess. Seeing Jiwoo again had been easier than she'd expected and harder in ways she hadn't anticipated. Easier because she'd felt nothing of the old attraction, no pullback to who they'd been. Harder because his presence had stirred up memories of pain she'd thought she'd processed. An hour later, Jihoon called her into his office. Close the door, please. She did, her pulse quickening at his serious tone. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. He was standing by the window, backlit by the afternoon sun. Are you still in love with him? The question stole her breath. Sir, that's not appropriate. I know it's not. He turned to face her. But I'm asking anyway. Are you still in love with Han Jiwoo? No. The word came out firm, certain. What I felt for him died 2 years ago. But he still has feelings for you? That was obvious. That's his problem, not mine. Is it? Jihoon moved closer. Because he's about to be a major presence in your work life. Meetings, calls, possibly travel to Nigeria together. Can you maintain professional boundaries with a man who clearly wants more? Can you? The words slipped out before she could stop them. He froze. What? Her heart was pounding, but she couldn't take it back now. You were tense the entire lunch, territorial almost, like you were staking a claim. Why? I was not territorial. You cut him off every time he tried to speak directly to me. You refused to let him schedule follow-up meetings. You practically growled when he said my name. I did not growl. You absolutely did, sir. They stared at each other, the air between them crackling with tension. Zara knew she should back down, apologize for overstepping, but she was tired of pretending. Tired of ignoring the thing that hummed between them every time they were alone. Why do you care if he still has feelings for me? Her voice was quiet but steady. Why does it matter? Jihoon's expression was unreadable. When he spoke, his voice was carefully controlled. Because you're my assistant. Any romantic entanglement with a business partner could complicate the project. That's not why. She took a step closer. Tell me the real reason. Miss Williams. Zara. My name is Zara. And I'm asking you, as a person not an assistant, why you care. The silence stretched between them, heavy with everything they weren't saying. Then Jihoon did something that shocked her. He closed the distance between them in 2 strides, his hand coming up to cup her face with surprising gentleness. Because the thought of him looking at you the way he did today makes me want to destroy the partnership deal. Because I've spent 3 weeks trying to convince myself that what I feel when I'm near you is just attraction, just chemistry, just the natural result of working closely together. And I've failed spectacularly at that convincing. His thumb brushed her cheek. Because I broke my own cardinal rule about assistance the moment you walked into this office, and every day since then has been an exercise in restraint, I'm not sure I can maintain much longer. Zara's breath came short and shallow. Sir, Jihoon, if we're doing this, if we're being honest, then call me Jihoon. We can't do this. You're my boss. I work for you. I know. But he didn't step back, didn't drop his hand from her face. Believe me, I know all the reasons this is a terrible idea. I've listed them to myself every night when I lie awake thinking about you instead of sleeping. You think about me? The words came out barely above a whisper. Constantly. It's becoming a problem. His voice dropped lower, rougher. Especially when you bite your lip like that during meetings. Or when you laugh at something and forget to be professionally distant for just a moment. Or when you stay late working and I watch you through my office door and wonder what it would be like to cross these boundaries we've been so careful to maintain. Jihoon. His name felt dangerous on her lips, intimate, real. This is insane. Probably. We could both lose everything. I know. Then why are you telling me this? His other hand came up to frame her face, tilting it up to his. Because watching Jiwoo look at you today like he had any right to you made me realize something. I can keep lying to myself about what this is, what you mean to me. Or I can be honest and deal with whatever consequences come. And right now, standing here with you looking at me like that, honesty seems like the only option. Like what? How am I looking at you? Like you feel it too. This thing between us. Like you've been fighting it just as hard as I have. His forehead touched hers. Tell me I'm wrong, Zara. Tell me this is all in my head and I'll step back. I'll be nothing but professional from this moment forward. She should lie. Should protect them both. Should remember that office romances never ended well, and men in power positions were dangerous to trust with your heart. Should remember Jiwoo and the lesson he'd taught her about loving someone who couldn't choose her. But standing there with Jihoon's hands gentle on her face, his breath warm against her lips, his eyes vulnerable in a way she'd never seen them, she couldn't make herself lie. You're not wrong. The admission felt like jumping off a cliff. I feel it too. Something blazed in his eyes. Relief, desire, triumph. Then tell me to stop. Tell me you don't want this and I'll walk away. I can't. The words were barely audible. Because I do want this. God help me, I want this so much. He kissed her then. Soft at first, questioning, giving her space to pull away. But when she melted into him instead, her hands fisting in his shirt, the kiss deepened. Became something desperate and consuming. Like they were both drowning and each other was air. Zara forgot where they were. Forgot every reason this was a catastrophically bad idea. Forgot everything except the feel of his mouth on hers, his hands in her hair, the way he kissed her like she was something precious and dangerous all at once. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, reality came crashing back. They were in his office. During business hours, where anyone could walk in. We can't do this here. Jihoon's voice was rough. Someone could see. I know. But she didn't step away. Couldn't make herself put distance between them yet. We need to talk about this, about what it means, the complications. I know that too. He rested his forehead against hers again, his breathing slowly steadying. Come to my apartment tonight, after work. We'll talk. Figure out what this is, how to handle it. Your apartment? I know how that sounds, but I promise, just talking. I need to understand what's happening between us before we make any decisions. He pulled back enough to meet her eyes. Can you do that? Come to my place tonight? She should say no, should insist on meeting somewhere public, somewhere safe. But she found herself nodding. What time? 7. I'll text you the address. He stepped back finally, running a hand through his hair. We should get back to work before someone notices how long you've been in here. Zara nodded, moving toward the door on shaky legs. At the threshold, she turned back. He was watching her with an expression that made her stomach flip. Jihoon? Yes? I don't regret it. The kiss. Just so you know. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. Neither do I. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Zara handled calls and emails on autopilot, her mind replaying those moments in his office over and over. She'd kissed her boss. Her emotionally unavailable, strictly professional boss had kissed her and admitted he couldn't stop thinking about her. And she'd kissed him back like her life depended on it. What was she doing? At 5:30, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It's Jihoon. My address, 1847, Songdo-dong, apartment 3201. See you at 7. Another text came through immediately after from a different number. Zara, it's Jiwoo. I'm sorry for how things ended at lunch. Can we talk? Just us, no business. I owe you an explanation for what happened 2 years ago. Please. She stared at both messages, her stomach churning. 2 men. 2 very different conversations waiting for her. One representing her past and all the pain that came with it. One representing a future so uncertain and dangerous it terrified her. She blocked Jiwoo's number without responding. At 6:45, Zara stood outside the luxury apartment building in Songdo, her heart hammering. This was crazy. She should go home, text Jihoon that this was a mistake, maintain the professional boundaries they'd obliterated earlier. But her finger pressed the call button for apartment 3201 anyway. Come up. His voice through the intercom sent shivers down her spine. The elevator ride to the 32nd floor felt eternal. When the doors opened, he was standing in his doorway, casual in dark jeans and a gray sweater she'd never seen him wear. Without the suit, without the office between them, he looked younger. More approachable, more dangerous to her carefully guarded heart. You came. He sounded almost surprised. I said I would. He stepped back to let her enter. The apartment was stunning, all floor-to-ceiling windows and modern minimalism, but it felt empty somehow, like a showroom instead of a home. Would you like something to drink? Wine? Tea? Tea would be good. My hands need something to do. She was nervous and trying to hide it. He moved to the kitchen and she followed, watching him prepare tea with the same precise attention he brought to everything. When he handed her a cup, their fingers brushed and electricity arced between them. They moved to the living room, sitting on opposite ends of his leather couch. Professional distance, even here. So, Jihoon broke the silence first. We should talk about what happened today. Which part? The meeting with my ex or the kiss in your office? Both. Either. All of it. He set down his tea. I need you to understand something, Zara. I don't do this. I don't get involved with employees. I don't mix business with personal feelings. I've fired assistants for far less than what happened between us today. Are you firing me? Her voice was steady despite the fear curling in her chest. No. God, no. That's not what I'm saying. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. I'm saying I don't know how to navigate this. You're exceptional at your job. The Nigeria project needs you. The company needs you. But I also can't pretend I don't feel this thing between us. And I don't know how to do both. So what do you want to do? He looked at her directly. Honestly? I want to kiss you again. I want to stop thinking about all the reasons this is a bad idea and just see where it goes. But I also don't want to be another man who hurts you. And I don't want you to ever wonder if your career success came from anything other than your own merit. The honesty in his words made her chest ache. I appreciate that. More than you know. So, where does that leave us? Zara set down her own tea, gathering her courage. Can I ask you something? About Han Jiwoo? Jihoon's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Why did you really react that way at lunch? And don't say it was about project complications. He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was low. Because I watched him look at you like he owned you, like he had some claim on you. And all I could think was that he gave up that right when he walked away. That he didn't deserve to even speak your name after what he did. He paused. And because some primitive part of me wanted to make it very clear that you're not available. I'm not yours either, Jihoon. I know that. You're your own person. But I wanted you to be. The raw honesty in his admission stole her breath. And that realization, sitting in that restaurant, was when I knew I'd already crossed lines I can't uncross. Zara moved closer, closing the distance between them on the couch. What if I don't want you to uncross them? His eyes darkened. Zara, don't say things like that unless you mean them. I mean them. She reached for his hand, lacing their fingers together. Look, I know this is complicated. I know all the reasons it's a terrible idea. But I also know that I haven't felt this alive, this scene, in 2 years. Not since Jiwoo destroyed my ability to trust. And that terrifies me. But it also matters. I don't want to be a rebound, or an experiment. You're not. What I felt for Jiwoo is dead. Has been for a long time. What I feel for you is completely different. She squeezed his hand. But I need you to know something. I'm still scared. Still carrying damage from what he did. I don't trust easily anymore. And the thought of being vulnerable with someone again, especially someone who could destroy my career, along with my heart, is terrifying. Then we go slow. He shifted closer, his free hand coming up to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. We figure this out together. No pressure, no expectations, just honesty and taking it one day at a time. Can we do that while maintaining professionalism at work? We'll have to. I'm not willing to give you up as my assistant, and I'm not willing to give up whatever this is between us. So we figure out how to do both. People will talk. Let them talk. As long as you know you earned everything through merit, their gossip means nothing. She leaned into his touch, feeling something in her chest unknot slightly. So what now? Now I kiss you again, if that's okay. That's very okay. This kiss was different from the one in his office. Slower, deeper, exploratory, like they were learning each other. His hands framed her face with such gentleness it made her throat tight. Her fingers tangled in his hair, pulling him closer, and the kiss turned heated. They ended up tangled together on his couch, kissing like teenagers, learning the taste and feel of each other. But when his hands started to wander beyond safe territory, Zara pulled back gently. Slow, remember? Jihoon's breathing was ragged, but he nodded, resting his forehead against hers. Slow. Right. I can do slow. Can you? Because I'm getting mixed signals here. He laughed, actually laughed, and the sound was so unexpected and genuine it made her smile. I want you, Zara. I'm not going to lie about that. But I also want to do this right. So yes, slow. Even if it kills me. She kissed him again, soft and sweet. Thank you for that. They spent the next 2 hours just talking. Curled up on his couch, Jihoon shared stories about building the company after his father's death, about the loneliness of his position, about the walls he'd built that were so similar to hers. Zara told him about growing up between cultures, about her family in Nigeria, about the dreams she'd had before Jiwoo broke them. By the time she checked her phone, it was past 10. I should go. Early meeting tomorrow. I'll drive you home. You don't have to. I want to. He stood, pulling her up with him. Besides, it gives me a few more minutes with you. In his car, they held hands across the center console, comfortable silence settling between them. When he pulled up outside her apartment building, Zara hesitated before getting out. Jihoon, what are we going to do about work? About people knowing? Nothing, for now. We keep things professional at the office. No one needs to know what's happening between us until we figure out what this is ourselves. So we're keeping it secret. Does that bother you? She thought about it. Not yet. Maybe it will eventually, but right now I kind of like having you to myself, away from office politics and gossip. He smiled, that rare, genuine smile that transformed his face. Good. Because I'm not ready to share you yet either. She leaned across the console to kiss him once more, soft and lingering. Good night, Jihoon. Good night, Zara. She walked to her building on shaky legs, hyper-aware of his eyes on her until she was safely inside. This was happening. She was doing this, getting involved with her boss, risking her career and her heart, diving headfirst into something that could destroy her. And for the first time in 2 years, the risk felt worth taking. The next morning at the office, Zara expected awkwardness, expected stolen glances and tension. Instead, Jihoon was perfectly professional, polite, distant, treating her exactly as he had before the kiss. It should have been reassuring. Instead, it stung slightly, until she found the coffee on her desk, her exact order from the cafe downstairs still hot, with a small note in his precise handwriting. Good morning. Last night meant something. JK, she looked up to find him watching her through his office window. He didn't smile, didn't acknowledge her beyond a small nod. But his eyes held warmth that hadn't been there before. A shared secret. An understanding. Zara tucked the note into her desk drawer and got to work, a small smile playing at her lips. The next 2 weeks established a new pattern. Professional distance at the office, stolen moments in his apartment after hours. They were careful, never leaving together, never arriving at the same time. Jihoon would text her an hour after she left the office, and she'd make her way to Songdo, to the apartment that was starting to feel like a sanctuary. They'd talk for hours about everything and nothing. He'd cook dinner while she told him about her day. They'd watch terrible Korean dramas and laugh at the plot twists. And they'd kiss, long and deep and consuming, but always stopping before things went too far. Slow, he'd remind her. Slow, she'd agree, even as her body protested. But the secret was becoming harder to maintain. Harder to hide the way she lit up when he entered a room. Harder to keep her expression neutral when he praised her work in meetings. Harder to pretend she didn't spend every moment wanting to touch him. And then, Jiwoo complicated everything. 3 weeks after the initial lunch meeting, he showed up at the office unannounced, asking to see her. Zara's stomach dropped when the receptionist called up. Mr. Han Jiwoo is here to see you, Miss Williams. He says it's important. She glanced at Jihoon's closed office door. He was on a call with investors. This was her decision. Tell him I have 15 minutes. Jiwoo was waiting in the lobby, looking polished and nervous. When he saw her, relief flooded his face. Zara, thank you for seeing me. I know you blocked my number. I have 15 minutes. What do you want, Jiwoo? To apologize. Really apologize. Not just the corporate courtesy I gave at the lunch meeting, He gestured to the coffee shop across the street. Please, just coffee. 15 minutes. Against her better judgment, she agreed. In the coffee shop, Jiwoo bought them both lattes and settled across from her with an earnest expression that reminded her painfully of the man she'd once loved. I was a coward 2 years ago, he started without preamble. My family threatened to disown me if I didn't end things with you, said you weren't appropriate for our position. And I caved. I chose their approval over you, and I've regretted it every single day since. Jiwoo, please, let me finish. He leaned forward. After we ended, I realized I'd rather have nothing and be happy than have everything and be miserable. So I left the family business, built my own company, proved I could succeed without their name or money, and through all of it, I thought about you, about how I threw away the best thing in my life for people who never really accepted me anyway. Zara's chest ached, but not with longing, with sadness for time wasted and pain that couldn't be undone. Why are you telling me this now? Because I want a second chance. I know I don't deserve it. I know I hurt you. But I'm different now, Zara. Stronger. Willing to fight for what matters. His hand reached across the table, covering hers. I'm willing to fight for you. She pulled her hand back gently. Jiwoo, I appreciate the apology. Really. But I've moved on. Have you? His eyes were searching. Because I see the way you look sometimes, when you think no one's watching. Like you're still guarding yourself. Like you're still hurt. Maybe I am. Maybe that's what you did to me. She kept her voice level. But that doesn't mean I want to go back. Is there someone else? The question was quiet, almost afraid. Before she could answer, her phone buzzed. A text from Jihoon. Where are you? She typed back quickly. Coffee shop across the street. Back in 5 minutes. When she looked up, Jiwoo was watching her with a knowing expression. It's your boss, isn't it? Kang Jihoon. I'm not discussing my personal life with you. You don't have to. I could tell at the lunch meeting, the way he watched you, the way he got territorial. That's none of your business. Maybe not. But I know what it's like to work for Chaebol, Zara. Men like him, they live in a different world. Their families have expectations, business obligations. When it comes down to it, they choose duty over love. Just like I did. His voice was gentle, almost pitying. I don't want you to get hurt again. The words struck deeper than she wanted to admit. Because hadn't she thought the same thing? Hadn't she lain awake wondering if Jihoon would ultimately choose his company, his reputation, his carefully controlled life over her? I need to get back to work. She stood, gathering her purse. Zara, wait. Jiwoo stood too. I'm not giving up. I made one mistake 2 years ago. I won't make it again. And when he inevitably chooses his empire over you, I'll be here. She walked out without responding, but his words followed her across the street, up the elevator, all the way to her desk. When Jihoon's door opened 5 minutes later and he asked to see her, she could barely meet his eyes. You were with Han Jiwoo. It wasn't a question. He wanted to apologize for 2 years ago. And? His voice was carefully neutral, but she could see the tension in his shoulders. And nothing. I told him I'd moved on. Have you? She looked up at him sharply. What? Moved on? Because he's clearly still in love with you. And he's about to be a major presence in your work life for the next 6 months. Jihoon moved closer. I need to know where your head is, Zara. My head is here, with you. What happened with Jiwoo is over. But nothing. Don't lie to me. His voice dropped lower. I can see it in your face. Something he said got to you. She hesitated, then decided honesty was the only path forward. He said men like you always choose duty over love, that when it comes down to it, your empire will matter more than I do. Jihoon was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was rough. And you believe him? I don't know what I believe. We've been doing this for 2 weeks, Jihoon. Sneaking around, hiding in your apartment, pretending nothing's changed at work. What happens when it's not enough anymore? When I want to be able to hold your hand in public? When I want you to meet my family? When keeping this secret becomes more painful than the risk of exposing it? Then we'll figure it out. Will we? Because right now it's easy. It's just us in our bubble. But the moment the world knows, everything changes. Your board, your investors, the company gossip, possibly my career. Are you ready for that? Are you? He challenged. Because I hear what you're saying, Zara, but I also hear fear. You're looking for reasons to push me away before I can hurt you. Just like you're still carrying Jiwoo's damage. That's not fair. Isn't it? He moved closer, his voice intense. I've been patient. I've gone slow. Respected your boundaries. Tried to prove that I'm not him. But at some point, you have to decide to trust me. Or decide you can't. But you can't keep one foot out the door waiting for me to prove him right. The truth in his words made her throat tight. I'm trying. I know you are, but trying isn't enough if you're still waiting for me to fail. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. I can't compete with your fear, Zara. I can only show you who I am, and hope that's enough. Before she could respond, his phone rang with an urgent call from the board chair. He answered it, speaking in rapid Korean, and she slipped out of his office, her emotions churning. He was right. She was waiting for him to fail, to prove that loving him was as dangerous as she feared. But recognizing the pattern didn't make it easier to break. That evening, she didn't go to his apartment, didn't answer his texts asking if she was coming over. She needed space to think, to sort through the tangled mess of her feelings. The next day, the tension between them was palpable. Professional conversations that felt strained, avoided eye contact. The careful distance they'd maintained for appearances suddenly felt like a chasm. By Thursday, Zara couldn't take it anymore. She knocked on his office door at 7 p.m. after everyone else had left. We need to talk. He looked up from his laptop, his expression guarded. About us. About what Jiwoo said. About my fear. She closed the door behind her. You were right. I've been waiting for you to choose something over me. Waiting for the other shoe to drop. And have you stopped waiting? I'm trying to, but I need you to understand something. She moved closer to his desk. Jiwoo didn't just break my heart. He made me believe that I wasn't enough, that my love, my presence, my whole self wasn't worth fighting for. And I know that's not on you to fix. That's my damage to heal. But I need you to be patient while I do it. Jihoon stood, coming around his desk to stand before her. I can be patient, Zara, but I also need something from you. What? I need you to believe that I'm different, that when I say you matter to me, I mean it, that I'm not going to wake up one day and decide my company matters more than you do. His hands cupped her face. Because the truth is, you've already become more important than any business deal, and that terrifies me almost as much as I think this terrifies you. Tears pricked her eyes. It does terrify me, because the more time I spend with you, the more I have to lose. Then we're even, because I'm in the same position. He kissed her forehead gently. We're both scared. We're both carrying damage. But maybe that's okay. Maybe we figure it out together. She wrapped her arms around him, holding tight. I'm sorry I pulled away. I'm sorry I pushed too hard. They stood like that for a long moment, just holding each other. Then Zara pulled back enough to look at him. Jihoon, can I ask you something? What happens when Jiwoo doesn't give up? Because I know him. He's persistent when he wants something. Jihoon's jaw tightened. Then he'll learn that persistence doesn't change the fact that you're not available. But we're keeping this secret. How will he know? Because I'll tell him if I have to. His voice was firm. I'm not losing you because of discretion or company politics or fear of gossip. If Han Jiwoo needs to know you're with someone, I'll make it clear. That could complicate the partnership? I don't care. Some things matter more than business deals. He kissed her softly. You matter more. The certainty in his voice settled something in her chest. Maybe he was different. Maybe this time could be different. Come home with me tonight, he said quietly. No pressure, no expectations. I just want to hold you. Want to prove that I'm here, that I'm not going anywhere. She nodded, and they left separately as always, maintaining the careful charade. But in his apartment an hour later, wrapped in his arms on his couch, Zara felt safer than she had in days. Tell me about your family, Jihoon said, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her arm. You never talk about them. My dad's Nigerian, mom's American. They met in grad school in Chicago. They're wonderful, supportive, everything parents should be. She smiled. My mom cried when I moved to Korea. Said I was chasing a man to the other side of the world and it would end badly. She was right. About Jiwoo, yes. But I stayed because I fell in love with Korea too. The culture, the food, the pace of life. It felt like home, in a way Chicago never did. Do they know about me? She hesitated. I mentioned I have a boss I respect. They don't know about us? Because we're a secret or because you're not ready to tell them? Both, maybe. They'd worry. My mom especially. She'd say I'm repeating patterns, falling for another man who might not choose me. Would I be welcome if I wanted to meet them? The question surprised her. You want to meet my parents? Eventually. When you're ready. When we're ready. He tilted her face up to his. I know we're taking this slow, Zara. But I also want you to know I'm thinking long term. This isn't casual for me. Her heart stuttered. It's not casual for me either. That's what scares me. Good. Be scared with me. He kissed her, slow and deep. We'll figure it out together. They spent the weekend in his apartment, in their bubble away from the world. Jihoon cooked breakfast while she graded his terrible knife skills. They watched movies curled up together. They talked about everything. His childhood split between France and Korea. Her dreams of eventually starting her own consulting firm. The places they wanted to travel. And they kissed, for hours, learning each other with patient intensity. But when things heated past a certain point, one of them would pull back, remembering their agreement. Slow. This is torture, Jihoon groaned Sunday evening when Zara stopped his wandering hands for the third time. Whose idea was slow again? She laughed, kissing his jaw. Yours, actually. You said you wanted to do this right. I'm regretting that decision. Are you? She shifted to straddle his lap, her hands framing his face. Because I think you were right. This, us taking time to really know each other, building trust before we complicate things further, it matters. I know. Doesn't make it easier. His hands settled on her waist, thumbs stroking the skin where her shirt had ridden up. But you're worth the wait. Monday morning brought reality crashing back. A new project timeline, urgent meetings, and a message from Han Enterprises requesting a dinner meeting with key stakeholders, including Jiwoo. Zara showed Jihoon the email, watching his jaw tighten. You don't have to go, he said. I can have Director Park attend instead. I'm the operational lead, I should be there. Zara. I can handle seeing Jiwoo professionally. I've been doing it for weeks. That was before he told you he wanted you back. She set down the tablet, moving closer to his desk. Are you jealous? Absolutely. He didn't even try to hide it. The man is in love with you, and looking for any opportunity to remind you of what you had. Yes, I'm jealous. There's nothing to be jealous of. What I had with him is dead. Is it? Because he seems to think otherwise. What he thinks doesn't matter. What I know does. She leaned across his desk, lowering her voice. I know that when I'm with you, I feel more alive than I did in 2 years with him. I know that your kiss does things to me his never did. I know that I spend every moment at work wanting to touch you, and every moment away from work counting down until I can. His eyes darkened. You can't say things like that to me here. Why not? Because it makes me want to do very unprofessional things, like clear this desk and show you exactly how much I don't want you in a room with your ex-boyfriend. Heat pooled in her stomach at the rough promise in his voice. Tonight, she said softly. Your place. Maybe we talk about redefining what slow means. He groaned. You're killing me. She smiled, straightening. Good. Suffer with me. Then, louder for anyone who might be listening. I'll confirm our attendance at the dinner meeting, sir. The dinner was that Thursday at an upscale restaurant in downtown Incheon. Zara dressed carefully in a burgundy sheath dress that was professional, but undeniably attractive. When Jihoon saw her, something heated flashed in his eyes before his professional mask slipped back into place. Ready? His voice was neutral, but his hand found hers for just a moment in the elevator, squeezing gently. Jiwoo was already at the restaurant with 2 of his executives. He stood when Zara entered, his eyes widening appreciatively. Zara, you look beautiful. Thank you. She kept her voice neutral, taking the seat Jihoon pulled out for her. Directly beside him, she noticed. Territorial, even in seating arrangements. The dinner started professionally enough. Discussion of distribution timelines, logistics challenges, marketing strategies. But Jiwoo kept directing comments to Zara, drawing her into side conversations, remembering inside jokes from when they dated. Remember that restaurant in Hongdae we used to love? Jiwoo said during a lull in conversation. The one with the incredible kimchi jjigae? I drove by there last week and thought of you. That was a long time ago, Zara said evenly. Some memories don't fade. His smile was warm, familiar. I still think about a lot of our time together. Under the table, Zara felt Jihoon's hand find hers, his grip almost possessive. She squeezed back gently, trying to send reassurance without words. Perhaps we should focus on current business, rather than past memories, Jihoon said, his voice polite but edged with steel. Jiwoo's smile didn't waver. Of course, CEO Kang, though I find that understanding someone's history makes working together easier. Don't you agree? I find that professional competence makes working together easier. History is irrelevant. The tension between the 2 men was thick enough to cut. Zara jumped in before it could escalate. Regarding the Lagos launch timeline, I think we need to address the shipping delays that... Her phone buzzed with an urgent message. She glanced down and her heart sank. Her mother, calling from Chicago. 3 missed calls. Excuse me, I need to take this. It's family. She stood quickly, moving toward the restaurant's lobby before anyone could object. Mom, what's wrong? Zara, thank God. It's your father. He's in the hospital. Heart attack. They're running tests now, but you need to come home. The world tilted. How bad is it? They don't know yet. But baby, he's asking for you. Can you get a flight? I'll be there as soon as I can. I love you, Mom. She hung up, her hands shaking, mind racing. Flights to Chicago, work commitments, the project. She needed to tell Jihoon, needed to... Zara? Jiwoo's voice. He'd followed her out. What's wrong? You're pale. My father's in the hospital. I need to get to Chicago. Concern flooded his features. I'm so sorry. Can I help? I can have my assistant book you a flight. No, I've got it, thank you. She was already pulling up flight options on her phone, but her hands were shaking too badly to type. Jiwoo gently took her phone. Let me. You're in shock. He pulled up a travel site with practiced efficiency. There's a flight leaving Incheon in 4 hours. I can have a car take you home to pack and straight to the airport. Jiwoo, you don't have to. I want to. Please let me help. Before she could respond, Jihoon appeared. His eyes took in the scene. Jiwoo holding her phone, standing close, Zara's obvious distress. What's going on? Her father's in the hospital in Chicago, Jiwoo explained. I was just booking her a flight. Jihoon's expression shifted immediately from territorial to concerned. Zara, why didn't you come get me? I was going to. I just needed a minute to process. He took her phone from Jiwoo, his fingers brushing hers in a gesture that felt deliberately possessive. I'll handle the arrangements. Jiwoo. Thank you for your concern, but I'll take care of my assistant. Something flashed in Jiwoo's eyes. Understanding, maybe. Of course. Zara, I hope your father's okay. Thank you. Jiwoo went back to the dining room, leaving them alone. Jihoon immediately pulled her into his arms, not caring who might see. Talk to me. How bad is it? They don't know yet. He's stable, but they're running tests. I need to get there. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. His voice was calm, steady, exactly what she needed. I'm going to book you first class on the next flight. I'll have a car take you home to pack. You'll go straight to the airport from there. The project can wait. Family comes first. He pulled back to look at her. Do you want me to come with you? The offer shocked her. You can't just leave. You have the company, meetings. None of that matters if you need me. Say the word and I'm on that flight with you. Tears burned her eyes. This was why she was falling for him. Because when it mattered, he chose her. I need to do this alone. Face my family, be there for my dad. But thank you for offering. Call me when you land. Text me updates. And Zara? He cupped her face. Come back to me. I will. He kissed her forehead, then stepped back as Director Park approached, looking concerned. Jihoon shifted seamlessly into CEO mode, giving instructions about covering Zara's responsibilities, but his eyes stayed on her. The next few hours were a blur. Packing, the drive to the airport, the long flight where she couldn't sleep, just replayed every conversation with her father, every moment she'd taken for granted. When she finally landed in Chicago 14 hours later, exhausted and terrified, her phone had dozens of messages. From Jihoon, landed safely. Let me know when you get to the hospital. Thinking of you. Your father is strong. He'll pull through. I miss you already. That's probably inappropriate timing, but it's true. From Jiwoo. Hope your father's okay. Let me know if you need anything. She responded to Jihoon first. Just landed. Heading to the hospital now. Thank you for everything. I miss you too. At the hospital, her mother looked exhausted but relieved. He's stable. They're keeping him for observation, but the doctor thinks he'll be okay. Zara burst into tears, all the fear and tension of the past hours spilling out. Her mother held her, stroking her hair like she was a child again. He's going to be fine, baby. But it was a wake-up call. He needs to slow down, reduce stress. Her mother pulled back to look at her. Now tell me what's really going on with you. You look different. Dad just had a heart attack and you're worried about how I look? I'm your mother. I can worry about multiple things. She guided Zara to the uncomfortable waiting room chairs. You have that look. The one you had when you first started dating Jiwoo. You've met someone. Zara hesitated, then decided she was too exhausted to lie. Yes, but it's complicated. It's always complicated with you, tell me. So she did. About Jihoon, the secret relationship, her fear of repeating patterns, Jiwoo's reappearance. All of it spilled out while her mother listened with the patient attention she'd always given. When Zara finished, her mother was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "This Jihoon, he offered to fly to Chicago with you?" "Yes." "And Jiwoo, what did he offer?" "To book a flight. Send a car." "You see the difference? One is my boyfriend, the other is my ex. Of course there's a difference. It's more than that." Her mother squeezed her hand. Jiwoo offered logistics, practical help from a distance. Jihoon offered himself, his presence, the one thing that costs him something. She paused. "That's how you know someone loves you, Zara. Not by what they're willing to give, but by what they're willing to sacrifice." The words settled in Zara's chest, warm and true. Her mother was right. Jihoon had been willing to drop everything, leave his company, just to be there for her. "I think I'm falling in love with him, Mom, and it terrifies me." "Good. Love should terrify you a little. Means it's real." Her mother smiled. "But baby, you need to stop waiting for him to hurt you. I know Jiwoo damaged your ability to trust, but this man sounds different. Give him a real chance." "What if I do, and he proves I was right to be scared?" "Then you survive it, like you survived Jiwoo. But what if you don't give him a chance and you lose something real because of fear? That's the worst tragedy." Zara stayed in Chicago for 5 days. Her father improved steadily, grumbling about hospital food and demanding to go home. She sat with him, talking about everything and nothing, reminded once again how precious and fragile life could be. And she texted Jihoon constantly, updates about her father, random thoughts, things she saw that made her think of him. He responded immediately every time, sometimes with advice, sometimes with jokes to make her laugh, always with the steady presence that was becoming essential to her. On her last night in Chicago, he called. "How's your father?" "Better. Complaining about everything, which the doctor says is a good sign." She was in her childhood bedroom, surrounded by memories of who she'd been before Korea, before heartbreak, before him. "I'm flying back tomorrow. I'll pick you up from the airport." "Jihoon, you don't have to." "I want to. I've missed you, Zara. Let me see you as soon as possible." "Won't that look suspicious? The CEO picking up his assistant from the airport?" "I don't care anymore." His voice was firm. "I've spent 5 days pretending I'm not counting the hours until you're back. I'm done hiding what you mean to me." Her heart stuttered. "What do I mean to you?" "Everything. You mean everything." He paused. "I love you, Zara. I know it's fast. I know we said we'd take things slow, but sitting here without you made me realize I don't want to waste time being careful with my feelings. I love you, and I'm tired of pretending I don't." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Jihoon, you don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. Needed you to understand that this is real for me, that you're not a secret I'm keeping out of shame, but a gift I've been protecting. But I'm ready now, ready to face whatever consequences come from the world knowing how I feel about you. I love you too." The words came out choked with emotion. "I think I have for weeks, but I was too scared to admit it. Don't be scared anymore. We'll face whatever comes together." They talked for another hour, about nothing and everything, before finally saying goodnight. Zara lay in her childhood bed, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars on her ceiling from when she was 12, and felt something shift inside her. She was done being afraid, done letting Jiwoo's betrayal dictate her present, done waiting for Jihoon to prove her fears right. It was time to choose him fully. Whatever came next, they'd face it together. If you're emotionally destroyed right now, good. Hit that subscribe button because part 3 will take your breath away. Drop a comment and tell me, are you Team Jihoon all the way? Or do you think Jiwoo deserves another chance? and smash that like button to let me know you're ready for the final chapter of Zara's story. Because things are about to get real. The secrets are about to explode, and Zara's going to have to make a choice that will change everything. Trust me, you do not want to miss what happens next.